Hello, everyone. For anyone that already has seen some of our talks, this is going to be the last one that I'm going to be hosting, but then you're going to be having other members of the community facilitators also helping hosting the talks. The talks, the Tea Talks, like we like to call them, are part of the RESILIFE program from the University King's College London. The idea of our program is to be a support for students that are living in the residences. I'm in one of the residences right now. I had the pleasure to live this year in Atlas. So anybody that wants to know more about Atlas, you can also check King's Instagram. In the past, we have had talks about mental health, the LGBTQ+ community, Black Lives Matter, climate change as well, body positivity, the family diversity. Last week, we talked to Ellie Simmons, a Paralympic athlete from the UK. And tonight, to say goodbye in a way, I'm going to be having a tea talk called Artists During Lockdown. And lockdown or the quarantine has affected almost everyone in the world. And we all have different stories. And I think we were all going to remember what were we doing or what plans got canceled because of that. And just to let you know a little bit about myself, my name is Francisca, or Franny, you can call me as well. I'm from Chile, South America. And during 2019 and 2020, I was a postgrad student here at King's. I was studying a master's in family therapy. And we started the Tea Talks as the summer CF program because we realized that a lot of the students were going to be having to stay here in the UK, maybe because the flights got cancelled, the borders got closed, or in the other side, some people wanted to stay longer in the UK and they couldn't. So we felt that an extra support was needed, even if it was just to have an alternative to those lonely nights when we all had to self-isolate. And that's how the Tea Talk program started. But because of the welcome that people had with the program, we are going to continue doing that. I'm going to have a more extended presentation of one of the community facilitators that's going to help, but if rather you can wave at the end of tonight's Tea Talk, she's going to introduce herself as well. Like I always mention, everyone is welcome to participate either on the chat on Zoom, on Instagram Live as well, or Facebook Live. We are going to be receiving all your questions or comments and opinions as well. Any artists or anyone that loves creativity, if you want to share how has been for you and your career to have the lockdown or quarantine, or maybe cancel some of the shows that you wanted to host, please, we would love to hear from you. And of course, for you, Emma and Memo, if you want to ask questions to each other, we would love that, because the idea is to have a conversation with a cup of tea, or in my case, water, and not to have only an interview, because we would really like to know a little bit more about you. So I wanted to start by you, Memo, if you could introduce yourself a little bit. Where are you from right now? And then Emma will follow.
Okay. My name is Guillermo. Everyone calls me Memo, and I'm tattooist. I began to tattoo in 2010. When I went back from London, I lived in London in 2008 and 2009 to do a postgraduate. It didn't work, so I only did a little course in St. Martin's. Then I came back in 2010 and I began to learn to do tattoos. At that moment, I was I was working as a designer here in Santiago, as a part-time designer. But then with time, the tattoo is beginning to be better. So I just remained doing the tattoos in a little studio there here in Santiago. I'm still here. I've been here from that day here in Santiago de Chile. What can I say? Yeah, most of my work is related to nature and and animals. I like to draw animals and nature. And in these past years, I went with a. I developed a taste for the queer illustration. I'm gay. I work with a few people who works in gay communities and queer societies. So I develop a different style to grow in my area as a drawer, most of it. So so yeah. From March, I've been here in my apartment, working mostly as doing drawings for customer, uh, custom drawing, and and maybe 2 months ago, I began to work again as a tattooist because the lockdown is not that strict as it used to be in the beginning.
That was
So I
very good
haven't
introduction.
spoken.
That's good. And it's also like amazing when we have the little connections of like, I was looking for a tattoo artist, for example, and then I found you, and I didn't know that you left in London. Again, we always have these little connections with every speaker that we had. There's something that ties them to London or to the UK. So now, from the distance, you are giving a talk in London. And I'm going to be asking you more questions of your career path and how did you start working in that field and how you started developing your style. But I also wanted Emma to introduce herself.
Yeah, I'm Emma. I write music and I play it. Yeah, lockdown's been interesting. It's not changed massively for me, apart from live shows. So I've not been able to play with my band and be in front of people and share music in that way. But other aspects of life has been the same. I've still been teaching music. I love teaching. I've not been working at school or in schools because they're closed. But teaching on Zoom and then eventually teaching in gardens and stuff like that when it was nice weather outside, that was super fun. Writing has still been going on. Collaboration is kind of like opened up because you can do it all online and there's no pressure to travel anywhere and stuff like that. So it's been quite nice. I started playing music when I was young. When I was probably 11 or 12, I started playing guitar, and I guess I started writing music pretty soon after learning how to play guitar.
How old are you now, Emma?
Pardon?
How old are you now, Emma?
20.
So it's been almost like 9 years of this.
Something like that, yeah. I have always kind of enjoyed writing music. It kind of came quite naturally to me. I think if you play music, writing it is something that goes hand in hand. It's a good way of expression. And I was always a shy kid, so I think I always used to put my thoughts and feelings into my songs and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I left school at 16 and just started doing music full time, touring around, writing a lot. And yeah, so it's been pretty fun. That's about it, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's something. At the beginning, for the lockdown, I saw the lockdown as an opportunity to do things that I left behind because I didn't have enough time to do it. But now with the lockdown, at the beginning, it was a very good opportunity to develop those ideas and try to and try to apply new techniques or something that you always wanted to try in your work because you have enough time. I mean, you're locked down at your home, you've got your tools to work in it. So it was like not nice, but it was okay to be at your home, having to have the opportunity to work in those things. But I think that after 4 months locked, I think it's not being that nice now.
The hardest part was definitely not being able to see people. Like
Yeah,
the main reason why I started working in schools is because writing music on your own at home is really boring. It's not boring, but it's very lonely if you're just waking up every day and doing the same thing over and over again. And yeah, I just got a bit depressed. So I was like, I need to go work in a school, and it was the best thing I ever did. And then when lockdown happened and I didn't have that anymore, and suddenly like my routine fell out the window, and I'm like, oh, what do I do? Um, so that was probably the worst bit. Yeah, the social aspect of it
Yeah.
was meh. Didn't like it.
How do you feel that maybe focusing on your art, or it could be anything other than that, the music, it could be that you like movies as well, or in your case, Memo as well. How do you feel that that could help with your mental health during the lockdown period, if helped at all?
Um, I think uh, I think routine is really important. I think as soon as you let your routine slide and you start like getting up late in the day, going to bed late, I think that's when it all goes downhill for me. So really focusing on trying to like stay on top of that, the simple, what seemingly simple things, really helps to keep your mind in the right place. Trying to stay in contact with people as well, um, messaging people more than I would normally, just to see how they are, and
Mm. Yeah.
almost for a selfish sense of I want to talk to somebody. um, uh, Creatively, I'm really bad at wanting to do loads of different things. I really struggle to give all my energy to one thing.
Mhm.
So I think I almost sidelined music, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go on holiday, and I just kind of did random stuff. Like I started a teaching course to like get teaching qualifications and stuff like that. Which, do I need to do that? No, but I did it. So now I have to do that for a year. I
Well,
will.
yeah, you committed for a year. Well, I think everyone in lockdown has committed to something that maybe was never on our plan before. Yeah, Rada is nodding as well. Yeah, I wanted to know your experience as well, Memo. Do you feel that during lockdown, being able to draw, because if you think about tattoo artists, you need literally to touch other people. And in lockdown,
yeah.
that was not possible. So how did drawing help you to a little bit stay sane in the beginning of the months of lockdown?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, at the beginning it was nice. It was like how can I say, like the I was on holiday when all this happened. We're here in South America. We have the opposite weather
Yeah.
than in the north. So I was on holiday when all this happened. So I came back to my holidays, and I have to begin my lockdown at the same time. So it was like my holidays were a little bit longer, and I saw the opportunity to improve my draw skills. But and on the other hand, I had to take care of my, how can I say, my, for the money. You have to pay the rent, you have to pay bills
Still have to
and all
be.
that
Yeah.
stuff. So and it was coming back from my holidays, so I didn't have enough money to survive the next few months. So I had to like quickly think in a B plan to take care of myself, my stuff, and that was that was drawing. My B plan was drawing, and I began to draw a lot every day. I began to publish my illustration on internet, on Instagram or Facebook and all the thing, and it was like not a step, it wasn't a step back, but it was like that I had to take things that I was living, that I was left behind my past. So as I said at the beginning, it was a good opportunity to develop again those qualities. But now, after 4 months locked down, it's been a bit. I'm a bit tired, mentally and physically, because as Emma was talking about the routine, which is a very important thing to have in your life. I think for me, my old routine was obsolete, was not working anymore. So I had to elaborate a new plan with new things that I wanted to get, with new enders. I mean, it was completely different, and now things are getting better. I get lockdown is not the hard as it used to be, so everything is going to reactivate, and that's getting hard, because there are many things that you think that you had to leave behind to live in your home, and now you have to create a new routine, and that routine is like to create new rituals, daily rituals in your life. Isn't that easy. I mean, it's a new problem that you have to struggle now. Now the new normal is here.
Yeah, I think it's amazing how, as humans, we have the capacity to adapt to different environments. It can be to live in another place. Like, for example, the students that are coming now, they're going to be living in the residences in a new city, in a new country, with all the pandemic going on, and how people that maybe like to go out every day have to adapt to stay inside. You, like a tattoo artist that works with people, had to adapt, have some of the things that you were doing, but it's a whole different setting as well.
Yeah, so I am, until now, that I was only drawing at my home, that I didn't feel the COVID, the virus, like close to me. But now that I have to go back to work, so I have to study more about sanity and all the stuff and the protocols that you have to have now. So yeah, you have to be more careful with people's health and my health as well. So yeah, it's a new way to see everything for me now, because I have to touch people. I mean, yeah.
And for example, in concrete, what things have changed from the way that you used to do your work before? Because even without COVID, the process of making a tattoo has to do with sanitation, to use different tools to clean. So what things have been changed or have been added to that process?
For example, in past, sometimes it wasn't necessary to wear a mask, for example, but now is something that now is a must. And in the past, you always, when you have to do a tattoo, you have to to be sure that everything is clean and everything is sterilized. But now you have to be more careful, like when the custom go through the door, go through your door, you have to take care of him as well. So you have to clean their shoes. You have to give them a new clean mask. You have to have something where the custom is going to be seated to get the tattoo, and something very close to you, in case of the person wanted to cough or wanted to wants to have a cup of tea, a cup of water. If you want, if they want to smoke, you have to have a special area to send them to have the proper cigarette and everything in order to keep clean the environment where you're working in. I have to wear gloves. The usual that I have to wear long gloves, the regular gloves, but now I have to cover until my elbow, and my clothes as well. I have to wear what's the name for this?
An apron?
Yeah, I have to wear one, but now I have to wear one that I can't throw away. Once the tattoo is done, and I have to wear something for my hair, yeah. It's everything. I mean, if in the past for do a tattoo and work as a tattooist, you have to take care of for the health and the environment and keep everything clean. Now you have to be more careful and yeah, and sometimes you have to be conscious about the new tips for working. As you now, for example, I wouldn't have a 4 hours session for example. Only sessions are 2 hours, 1 hour and a half, no more than that, because it's dangerous to have one person for 4 or 6 hours getting a tattoo. Yeah, and also it's more like you get more tired working like that.
It's like going to surgery. You have like this, the mask.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit scary to get a tattoo now. It's like,
yeah. Yeah, it's almost to get surgery now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, Emma, like I imagined you had plans for this year that you couldn't make. So how did the lockdown affected your career, for example?
Yeah, all the concerts were cancelled. So summer was cancelled, which is sad. It's like the best part of the year. But I can't say how it's affected my career really, because I don't know what would have happened. So I'm just kind of going with it. I don't think it's too helpful to dawn on what could have been. I just got on with what I was doing and kind of treated it like, oh, this is good. I've got some more time to do what I was doing before. But I was interested actually. Your customers, do you get some customers that think it's all ridiculous and they're like, I don't want to wear a mask? What are you talking about? Because or are you very strict? Are you very strict with?
I'm very strict. Yeah. If they don't want to wear a mask, they don't want to go for the regular way. I want to them. That's simple. At this moment, I'm not worried about money or my works. It's that simple. Your health, my health, and my reputation as tattooist. I mean, it's the way that I spend that I owe my money. So it's a risk to have have a problematic custom. So yeah, if they don't want to follow the regular way,
Yeah.
that tattoo is not gonna be possible.
Here there is a question on Instagram about that for you, Memo. So for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
if you have a client, maybe he's in the process or she's in the process of having a tattoo, but they are afraid because of all the COVID situation, how do you talk to them or encourage them or assure them that everything's going to be with the guidelines and everything's going to be clean? Do you have a conversation prior? How does that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, everything is speakable. I mean, we easily, I'm open to have that conversation. And if they are too afraid about the way that is tattooing now, I would prefer that that person get the tattoo in the further time. I mean, sometimes people get a bit anxious because they want to get the tattoos as soon as possible. But at the same time, if they're afraid about the virus now, I would prefer to give them an advice to keep them calm and and try to explain that it's better if they get a tattoo in
When the
future
lockdown
time.
ends, that we
Yeah, in future time after
yeah.
the yeah after the vacuum is
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
There's also a question for you, Emma, about do you feel that maybe platforms like Spotify or YouTube or anything that you are using has been a good way to like share your music more than usual times now that you cannot do concerts or you cannot go to shows?
I think I'm definitely one of those bad artists that don't use social media as much as they should. I'm not very good at posting. I don't like. I maybe chose the wrong career because I don't like sharing stuff. It's quite taxing on my mind. Um, so I think I've seen a lot of people like get really into live streaming and really engaging with their audience. Um, I find that really draining. So it's not something that I kind of prioritized. Um, but I think streaming and the online scene has been really important because I know a lot of people complain about online revenue from Spotify and platforms like that. But for me, it's been pretty good. It's kind of kept a decent amount coming through just from sitting at home, which has been quite nice. Um, but it's different for everyone. I think it genuinely depends on what kind of person you are and how you like to use the online stuff. And it's just I'm just not into doing it as much as I should. Really, I get told off a lot.
Yeah. But I imagine that even if you don't want to, people find you online and they get to know you for some posts that other people make.
I'd love you to find me online, but don't expect me to post something every day.
Yeah, that's if you want to say your Instagram now or your like
It's just
website.
my name with UK at the end, Emma McGrath, UK.
Okay. We are going to repeat that at the end as well. I wanted to go a little bit to the past, first with you, Memo. So how did this love for tattoos started? Did you start with drawing first, or did you got one tattoo and you got in love with that, or it was love and hate relationship? If you can tell us a little bit of your journey.
Yeah, yeah. I think I draw since I was 5, for example. I come from how can I say not I didn't have the support of my family at the beginning because they think for drawing or arts or careers about arts as a hobby, but when I grew up and I went to the college, I studied art for 4 years. Then I changed for design, and I studied design, and I graduate. I've got my degree in design, in arts and design. Um, then I worked for a while in retail and for industry. Um, then I stopped working there, and I get a bit of money, and I took that money and I went to the UK to do a postgraduate. I applied for Vega Chile, but I didn't get it. So
I didn't get it either.
so I began to work and study at the same time, and I took short courses in St. Martin's. That was the only thing that I could reach. And when I was in London, I began to work for designers as a freelance. I was like an assistant, like a design assistant. And in that time, I think I was working for 3 or 4 designers at the same time until 2009. Then I sorry. At that time, I was a bit tired of working in design and work for other people. So in my past, when I was a teenager, I had many friends that began to learn to tattoo. So I got the idea that I could apply for a studio there in London as apprentice, and that was I did, and that was that I did. And I worked in
tattoos.
yeah, and I went to offer my work in a little tattoo studio there in Shoreditch. And I worked there for maybe a semester there. When my visa got expired, I came back to Chile. That was in 2010, before the earthquake.
Oh yeah, the big
Before the earthquake. But I felt myself like I was ready to be a tattooist, so I began to work in a little shop there in Providencia, in a little tattoo shop in Providencia. Parallel, I was working as a designer for fashion in a little brand, independent brand, and I was working at those 2 things at the same time. And then slowly I stopped to work as a designer, and I became full-time tattooist.
I was thinking of, you mentioned, and I think this is very common, at least in Chile, that when you like something in the arts, that it could be music, painting, in this case, drawing or tattooing, that your family or friends think this is just a phase, it's just a hobby, you shouldn't invest a lot of time on that. So I was wondering now, looking back, how has that process been with your family, and what do they think now of the work you do? Maybe you have tattooed someone in your family as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you come with that past and with the things that every time people told you in your family, I think you develop a thought that you have to prove them that you are that you're, how can I say, independent, and you can
support yourself, like financially.
Sorry?
Like support yourself financially?
Yeah. You have to prove that you support yourself functionally and in every way, I think, because they don't have this how can I say, they don't have it's a second place. It's not a real career. You can develop a real career coming from the arts. I mean, that part is kind of hard because if you're confident and you believe in yourself, you know you're gonna get your objectives. But when you have all this close group to you that is your family, and they don't believe in you, it's kind of hard because you are all the time trying to prove something and trying to, hey, like, I'm here, I'm getting my life doing the thing I like. And at the yeah, but I mean, at the beginning it's not easy, but with practice and perseverance and doing things right, like put all your things in order, your paperwork and all that stuff that I'm working as independent. Every people that works independent have to do the paperwork and all that thing by ourselves. So you have to do things. For me at least, I have to do things in order. I had to do it. I had to do it because I wanted to prove to myself and my family that I can support myself.
Do you feel you have managed to do that, to prove to yourself and to your family now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean now, yeah, I mean now they know that I'm fine, that I've got my flat, and I live here, and I pay my bills, and that's okay. But at the beginning, it was hard because they don't believe that I could do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear, like I mentioned in Chile and South America, that it's going to be hard for you if you're an artist.
Yeah, and on the other hand, it's a lot of work because you have to be careful that you do well your job, and at the same time you have to be your accountable, your lawyer, I mean, you have to do everything.
So you have another career, you're your own accountant. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering, sorry, just to ask you something before, maybe you can show us some of the work that you have been doing. You mentioned that you are now like working in a queer way, like a queer, yeah. Could you tell us a little bit more about that? How you identifying as part of the LGBTQ community has influenced your work as well?
Yeah, I began to work with queer art because in tattoo world, to say in a way, you get the traditional tattoo, which has been always like how can I say, machista, and it's like only for men, and women it is so as an object. So I discovered in queer art that you can have you can change that way and becoming something like that break the structure. So I took the women figure, and I did it like in a like for men or for gay men. And I'm going to show you something. I think it's going to be easy for you to understand. For example, you have the traditional pin-up girl, and I changed for a pin-up guy, and I did this, for example. That was a drawing that I did when the lockdown began, and that was the drawings that I was selling. Here's another one.
That's incredible.
Here's another one that I'll go here.
I also, at least in my experience, I haven't seen something like that. So I think it's very original as well. It's taking an idea that already existed and making that in your own style, and actually getting that into other people's bodies, like the trust that somebody has to have on you to trust them with something that is permanent.
Yeah. It's weird because sometimes you think no, this is not going to work. It's too new. It's too hard for Chile, for example, with many conservative people. But when you show up this work and you have a positive feedback, is nice. It's a very nice sensation.
Do you have any tattoos in your body? Because
I've got
someone else.
I've got many. I've got my both arms, full sleeves. I've got my neck, my chest, and my legs. I think the only parts of that I've got clean is my tummy on one part in my back, but yeah. I'm looking for another one that I wanted to show you with a. This is one.
Also,
I draw this. I draw.
You need to put it. Yes. Oh, a huge cat.
Yeah, because a guy from a client actually, and he's from Brazil, and he asked me to do for him a pinup guy with a panther. There is a panther, nebulosa.
Yeah.
It's called like foggy panther. That's the name for the animal. I didn't know the animal before, but that's the thing that I mixed when I have to do my drawings. Yeah. And my other work is like animal portraits.
That's a good picture. You have the animals and you have the queer art as well.
Yeah.
You get to know so many stories of different people that tell you why you want this tattoo, why I want the other one.
Yeah, I mean, there are two things, big things that I do in my job, and I like to do it together. For example, the pinup guys with an animal, with nature, or that pinup guy naked in the nature. I mean, it's a kind of good fusion. I'm not. There are other queer artists that are very sexual, for example, and they do pornographic drawings. That's okay. I mean, but it's not my thing. I think my work goes more for the way to mix that change about women figure in traditional tattoo and do the mix with nature, with animals and flower. That is the theme that I liked. I've got animals everywhere. I've got animals everywhere.
Do you have any favorite tattoo in you?
My favorite tattoo.
If you can.
Yeah, I've got my. Yeah, no, I've got my favorite tattoo. I've got here a phrase.
And I see another pattern.
I think that's my favorite tattoo. It's a sailor.
Yeah.
It's a very traditional. And there down there, it's a phrase we say it a mi manera. It's like my way.
I was wondering also if Rada has any questions for you that she wanted to have the opportunity to ask.
Oh yeah, definitely. So this is for both of you guys. So like when the lockdown started, you could see so many posts on the internet that were like, oh, it's a great opportunity for art because like Shakespeare wrote King Lear when he was in lockdown because of the Black Plague and stuff like that. So did you ever feel the pressure to create more or like improve your skills even more during the lockdown? And like, did that affect your way of working?
Who goes first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Just replying to Freya as well.
Yeah. Do you have a tattoo? That's the question.
I don't have any tattoos, which is really sad. I'm a wimp, but I probably will get one day. Once I chill out a little bit. I think I always feel pressure to create. I always feel like I'm not creating enough. I always feel like I should be doing more. But I think that's the whole like self-employed life. Like it's not a proper job in everyone else's eyes. So like you wake up whenever you want. You can write some songs if you want, or do some drawings if you want, or whatever. But it's always there's no for me. There's no like I get a task given to me at the beginning of the day and I have to complete it. It's just I make it up as I go along. So I think there's always pressure to be doing something. Yeah. What about you?
For me, at the beginning, I felt the pressure, but not for other people to tell me that I had something worth with your time, but no, I don't like to feel the pressure to create or be creative. So I took this time off. I think is more like attend to yourself, and you have to take care of yourself. You don't have to pressure much, unless your head is going to burst down, and
That's so true.
that's not the idea. No, I only been drawing when I have an idea that I want to develop, or I've got a big project that I want to draw, but I don't like to feel pressure to create. I mean, it's not something you can push. Yeah.
Do you get to a point where you feel like you haven't created for ages and it's like, oh my God, I can't do it anymore. I haven't made anything in so long. That's when I get like nervous and I'm like stressed. I'm like, I haven't done anything, and everyone else like either like in the team that you're working in, or if you've got other people working for you or anything, and they're all doing their job really hard and supporting you and whatever, and then you're just there being like, I can't do anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, creation is a process. Sometimes you want to work and you want to go further and you want to get quick, but sometimes there are days that you only want to be lying on the bed, holding your dogs and nothing else.
I think it's important to appreciate that that's okay as well, because I think a lot of
people, definitely.
I think
definitely it's like self-respect.
Even if it's not an artistic, creative job, like an obviously creative job, like what we do, drawing and music. Even all jobs are creative in some way. Well, most of them. Sorry if you can hear a child in the background. Mummy. God, I've lost my train of thought now.
No worries. You were talking about how we need to give ourselves the permission to sometimes not be productive, and I think one of the memes that was like around, and I think we mentioned this also in the first talk that we had, is that there was this idea that now you don't have excuses, you have time, so you need to have this skill, And we are not in normal times. We are not in like a spiritual retreat. We are in lockdown, quarantine, uncertainty. And we need to say to ourselves, like, it's okay if today I don't want to do anything, if the things that I wanted to do are not working properly. And I think we can extend that to always. Like, like uncertainty and unpredictability happens. I will come to you, Nemo, if you had any last comments, because I know that you need to leave now.
Yeah.
Because you have, I think you need to tattoo someone actually.
I think talking about the last thing we said, I think for everyone, as Emma said, and for if you have to be creative and you've got enough time, you don't have an excuse to don't do anything. But this lockdown makes you tired as well. So after, as I said at the beginning, if you are 4 months at your flat and you have the pressure, you have to do anything day by day, seeing the same thing and listen to bad news every day, you get tired. You get tired, and there are days that you don't want to be creative and you don't want to hear people say that you have to do this, you have to do that. So it's like self-respect to know when to take your time off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to feel bad for yourself or anyone.
Did you have any requests? And just the last question, for people to tattoo something related to COVID or coronavirus? I just had that because sometimes these things that happen, people start tattooing things about corona or
Corona.
yeah,
Oh,
corona.
yeah. I mean, it's any person decision. I mean, at the moment, nobody have asked me about get a tattoo, a commemorative tattoo of corona or like the shape of the virus, that thing. No, I tattooed a girl last week. She had corona and she had a very rough time with corona. She was in a hospital, and then she wanted to get a tattoo because of her. Now she sees herself as a survivor, so she wanted to get a tattoo, a commemorative tattoo about I defeated corona.
I think it's amazing how tattoos can mean so many things, and it's always personal, but it's always like you can see your tattoo and think about new meanings every time. And
Yeah. I mean, it's a ritual. It's a very technical thing. Like if you think now about the health and the cares that you have to have at the moment that you're going to do a tattoo or you're going to get a tattoo, but at the end it's a ritual, and it has its meaning as well. So people every time is gonna see this tattoo and it's gonna remain something that they want to remain. I mean, they want to remember.
yeah.
That, and yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I do have a tattoo, a very small one, and when I got it, I was very afraid. And I think trusting the person that's going to do it, it's super important. And I see how your clients or your friends trust you, and you also have this style that you're still developing. And I think that's very unique when you are able to trust somebody trusts you. You leave a mark on them, but it's also your style. I think that's very beautiful as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be patient, and you have to be very careful about things that you say to your client, because you don't know the reason of why these people is getting this tattoo. So you have to be careful, and you have to listen to what they want, and you have to take those ideas and have the the proper way to say to people when they want to something that is not going to work. You have to speak to people, to explain yourself as well about what you think about their ideas, because you have to do well your job, and you have to have a happy customer as well. So yeah, you have to, yeah.
Well, who knows?
That's
Maybe
it.
in the future I will get another tattoo in Chile with you. Who knows?
Yeah, I do see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think you have now to leave us because you have a.
Yeah. Actually, I have to do too now. In 15 minutes, I have to I have to take the things away there in my studio.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me in this conversation. I was a bit nervous about, because I haven't spoken English in ages, but I think it works.
We are international community as
Did.
well, so we always have speakers.
I'm the
Yeah,
bad English
so
person that can't speak any other language.
so thank you for excuse my English, and that's it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
all have
Great to
different
meet you.
accents and we are all for
yeah,
different parts, but yeah.
yeah. I have to say bye now.
Oh yeah, and your Instagram, if you can tell us your Instagram before you leave.
Yeah. I think I'm going to share the conversation and the video if you upload to YouTube, or it's a fixed history on the Instagram. So yeah, I'm going to share now. I'm going to
So
go
anyone
through.
there that knows Spanish or wants to learn, his Instagram is Memo Tatuajes. That's Memo Tattoos
Yeah,
in Spanish.
practice.
So you
Yeah,
have that challenge there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's it. If you want to look for me, for my work on Instagram. I work only on Instagram because it's easier than Facebook and other things. Yeah, that's it. Nice to meet you girls. It was a really nice time. I had a really nice time.
We love meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you.
Bye.
Now we have you, Emma, for everything good with the light, the baby. That's funny with how the sabotage in the middle of your talk.
When they get tall enough to reach the light switches, and it's like,
Yeah, I wanted to ask you the same question I asked Memo. Like, how did you start? Like, because you mentioned that when you were very little, like 11, you started like learning how to play more instruments. But this started like a hobby. This started like this is my passion. Somebody from your family or friends taught you. How did you start this path?
I think it was, well, there was a guitar club at school, and I just kind of went along, and it was something that kind of, it just worked. Like I understood it, and I could just do it, and it didn't take me long to learn it. I'm not very good with things that I have to I like to be able to do. I like fast reward tasks, right? So I like to be able to pick something up and be able to do it. And I could do that with guitar, and then started like bashing the keys on piano and making some sounds. And yeah, I think it just made me feel like I could do something. Whereas before, I think I was a bit of an average kid. I didn't necessarily excel in anything. I could like run fast and do good sports and stuff like that. But I think it was music that kind of was my thing, and everyone knew it was my thing. And it was like I was the only one in my class that did it. And I remember the first year that I started playing, like 5 or 6 kids in my year got guitars for Christmas because they were all like, "I want to be like Emma and play guitar." And yeah, that I think that's what it was. It was just it connected with me and it made sense.
So did they make you like play for the school or stuff, or maybe in family gatherings? Because sometimes when people know somebody plays something, they will choose them for every activity or event in school and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have a video somewhere of me and my dad playing at the school summer fete, and I was awful, and I wasn't in time at all, and it was quite embarrassing. Obviously, when I was younger, I was like thinking I was doing it right, but I wasn't. um, yeah, I guess so. And then I didn't enjoy it so much in secondary school because it was a bit like if they needed to fill some space in assembly because they couldn't think of anything else to say, it's like, Emma, can you play us a song, please? And it's like, no one wants to listen to it. Everyone's like, oh, we've got to listen to it again. You're joking. Nobody cares. They're secondary school. They don't care about anything. They just want to like chat and get on with life. So, I don't know. School's a weird place, but I got through it. And yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. I'm very good at going off on a tangent.
No problems with that. That's why we have a conversation and not an interview. But I think that happens to a lot of people. Like when somebody finds out that you like something, then in the school you would do it all the time. Your parents will say, "Oh, let's go guitar lessons, let's go piano lessons." You mentioned that you play with your dad. He also likes to play instruments.
He played a little bit of guitar when he was younger, so he plays a bit of the guitar. And he used to give me shapes and chords to learn. And then once I knew like all the basics, A, B, C, D, F, G, and stuff like that, majors and minors, then I got a teacher. And I was allowed to kind of start learning properly. Not that learning it yourself isn't learning properly, but I think learning with a teacher was really beneficial for me because now I can teach it myself and I can pass on knowledge. And teaching myself, I learn so much from like spending time with kids, and it's just inspiring when a kid will like say to you, right, Emma, I don't understand, like how do you write a song? I don't get it. And then we just spend an hour and we're like messing about and having a jam and seeing like I've got a little group of kids, 4 of them that are in a mini band together, and primary school kids, and just like watching them come together and play music and share that thing. And it's special. Music is so powerful and it brings people together, and it's important. And so yeah, I feel really lucky that I'm kind of able to share that now. And so like formally learning music was really positive for me.
Yeah. I
It's
think
important.
like you're inspiring also with your teaching to other kids to be able to express and feel what you felt when you were a kid, like this moment of I was a kid, so I thought I was doing it nice or I was doing it amazing. And I think that's something that when we get older, sometimes we lose. We start to get more conscious about how we're doing things, are we doing good enough? But when we are like, I don't know, 6 or 9, sometimes we have the feeling of I just want to play because I like it and I'm amazing. That's it.
Which is also really important. You've got to almost create that foundation of passion. Like if you haven't created that foundation of passion for a subject, doesn't matter what subject it is, then you won't want to dive into it as much and learn the theory of it. Why does this work? Why does this formula create this sound or whatever?
We have some questions also for you. I'm going to start with the last one because it's about what we are talking now. So in your process of teaching little kids, how do you cope with the little ones running around? How do you get them involved in music? I don't know what age the kids that you're teaching as well.
I teach one-on-one, blessed. So it's like I do some group lessons with the little mini band, and they are chaotic and you have to shout a lot, but generally it's one-on-one and it's calm and it's quiet and just super fun. I like to be that kind of, I guess all teachers probably try and do this. I want to be the teacher that's like a mate, that you can just, like I say to all of them, if you have any questions during the week, literally get your mum to message me or your dad or whoever, get them to message me and I'll record you a little video on how to do it or something like that. Like I'm here to share knowledge. What was the rest of the question? Well, I can't find it.
when you talk about this, it almost sounds like you're inspiring these little kids. And one of the questions is about your own source of inspiration. So do you have any band or any maybe professor or artist that in your journey was very important for you, like motivationally speaking, or maybe the style was something that you wanted to achieve as well?
That's a hard question. I'm really bad with inspiration questions. I think I'm inspired by everything. I don't think it's. I don't think I'm inspired by anyone in particular. I'm inspired by everything. It's life is inspiring. I think going from a place where, because a couple of years ago I was definitely pretty miserable, but then you kind of like open your eyes and you see the simple things and start to appreciate stuff. Like all the time when I'm driving around, I'll be like, damn, like England's pretty beautiful. It's not the most beautiful place in the world, but like you're driving around the countryside and you're like, oh, it's so pretty. So I think it's important to find things that inspire you in everything. Yeah, you can be inspired by anything. I find it particularly amazing artists that are quite like outrageous and just out there and can wear outrageous things, say outrageous things, be loud. I've always found that like intriguing, and I guess I'd kind of love to be like that, but it seems so like I have no words to describe it. I don't know. It's just I guess I find that inspiring. It's people that are so open and so unafraid, and so willing to engage in a platform and kind of yeah.
Do you think it has to do with styles, or maybe in the future you're going to be able to do that or feel that way? Would that be one of your goals, for example?
Yeah, I suppose so. To not care what anyone else thinks, because I think I've always cared what people think too much. Even going back to school, always caring what like I yeah yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to, even when you feel very confident, the opinion of some people also have an impact. And I think that's why it's very important to have like a good experience with music since you're a kid. Some schools don't have the opportunity to teach instruments, some do. And I think being able to approach music in any form, it can help you also with your confidence, like to be able to just free yourself and express through music, singing, playing something, just clapping or dancing. It can have a very liberating effect, even if you're just doing that on your own in the shower, because you're not ready to expose that to the world, but you feel within yourself that maybe you're a little bit freer in that moment.
And I think it's such an important way to um, go to approach life, um, with adults, with kids, with anyone. You have to have that positive reinforcement in any activity that you do. You have to go in kind of with the aim to inspire and to help push people along. And for example, if you spent like a week or a month or ages writing a song and then you send it to someone and they're like, it's all right, yeah, it's nothing special, and it's like, I should have spent so long on that. That's really hard. And or if a kid has just been learning something and you can tell that they've learned it, but then they sit down and sit in front of you and like mess it up completely, and it's the most awful thing you've ever seen in your life, you've still got to go with that. You know what, I can like really see that you've like spent a lot of time on that. It's really good. It's same with anything and anyone. Like, to build relationships and to make people feel good, I think should be everyone's aim. Like, no matter if what you've done is a success or not, you've tried, and positivity is so important. You've got to make people feel good, take care of other people's minds, not just your own minds. And so yeah, I think it's important to surround yourself with the right people. Again, I've no idea what question I was answering there.
No worries, but I think it's very important when you mention, and sometimes when we do care about other people, we are indirectly also making us feel better and making us feel more love. And one of the questions that also is in chat, and I wanted to expand it a little bit more. So one of the questions is it easy to create music if you, for example, are living in a house with little children, like siblings or nieces or nephews? And I was wondering, in that same sense, how does your family see your career or your creative process? And are you living with them at the moment? Are you living alone? But now with the lockdown, you're with them.
My family life has changed quite a lot over the past 2 years. It went from pretty much living on my own with my dad. And so I used to have the kind of whole house to myself because he'd be at work. And that was pretty lonely. But it did give me the freedom to kind of make as much noise as I wanted, and I wasn't aware of anyone around me. Kind of, I don't like judging what I'm playing, which is ridiculous because it's family and they shouldn't care anyway. Yeah, it's harder with kids and other people around now, mainly because I'm a bit self-conscious of what I'm doing, and if it sounds rubbish, goes back to that thing that is it Memo? Nina?
Memo.
Goes back to what he was saying about family not necessarily thinking what you do is a proper job. And I know my dad believes that like what I'm doing is all right. Like, he supports me 100%. But it's really hard for people coming into your life to kind of have them just appear and be living with you and stuff like that. I found that quite hard. So yeah, I don't think I've written as much music or made as much noise as I would normally do since that all changed. But it's just getting used to it. It's not a problem. Yeah. It's all fine.
Adapting to the environment. Sometimes we cannot.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that also links to one of the other questions that someone asked about. Now that you are more like in difference when you were 11, now you are more in the music industry. You have some singles out. Do you feel that you have grown a thicker skin about what other people think of you, or maybe the harsh times of being out there with your music?
I'm definitely more confident, that's for sure. Definitely more confident. I'm definitely less afraid to say things that I might have been afraid to say before. More confident, like live, stuff like that. In music, a lot of people seem to... I'm quite outspoken on certain topics, so sometimes I prefer to like keep my mouth shut because otherwise I might upset people, which is bad really. I shouldn't feel like I should have to do that because but the world that we live in today is anything controversial that you say is kind of pew, shot down, like you're an evil person for thinking that, stuff like that. So I guess it's a lot to do with wanting not to upset people and not to do the wrong thing. And I just want to be like a normal, nice person. I don't want to post a picture on Instagram and people think, what's she wearing? Why is she posting that? She's like well into herself.
Yeah, that's very hard when you're also trying to have your career grow, because you're going to be a public figure sometimes. And like you mentioned, you have social media, but you don't like to post something every day. But still, you can have other people looking at your work. And I was wondering, like, for example, Memo mentioned that his inspiration in his own work was, for example, nature and the queer art. In the terms of your songs, do you have any particular style or theme that comes, like you will say, this is part of who I am as an artist?
I write a lot about things that I experience, whether it directly or not. I think it's hard to, as much as I would like to say I make them up, I think it's I can't deny that they're from real experiences or real feelings. I think they always creep in, right? It's emotion. Music is emotion, feelings, and stuff like that. I think I write a lot about family. Write a lot about friends. Obviously love, but it's not necessarily like romantic love. It's like the love of people, not understanding stuff. I wrote a lot of songs about not understanding stuff. I'm just finishing I'm just finishing a 3-part EP, Silent Minds, like trilogy triptych thingy. I guess it's been I came up with the Silent Minds theme when I was in school, and it was the thing that the words that I used to describe people who didn't seem to like care about other people and didn't couldn't sympathize with anyone. And like I find it really hard to not see where other people are coming from, and I always try and put myself in other people's shoes, and I think school can be quite a hard place, and a lot of people, they're growing up, right? They're not going to be looking out for everyone. There's a lot of people looking out for themselves, and some people can be a bit of a bitch, bit rude, but that's just because we're all growing up and figuring out who we are, right? But I came up with this Silent Minds thing, and I suppose that crept into quite a few songs. I've got maybe 5 or 6 songs where I use the thing Silent Minds. So I suppose that's if you listen to across the theme of those three bodies of work, I guess maybe it's a insight into maybe how I was feeling or how I approached life. I think definitely now, looking at the songs I'm writing now compared to when I was at school and struggling a little bit, my songs are a lot more more like I'm happy with myself, and I'm not asking as many questions, and I'm not as confused. Basically, I'm happy with where I am, and I'm just kind of working things out and more asking questions to other people rather than asking questions about life. Kind of
Existential ones.
Yeah.
I was wondering if in these moments that you mentioned that you struggle, and it has to do with school, I imagine it has to do with identity as well, and being a teenager and everything that comes along with discovering who you are and what things you like. If music helped you in that way, it felt like that in that moment, or now that you're a little bit older, and this is related to one of the questions, you have grown and you can see that in a different perspective.
I can't decide whether music helped me or not, because it made me more visible, and I don't think I wanted to be visible in school. I think I wanted to hide away and just not exist and just get on with my work and get it over and done with and leave. Whereas music kind of was like, got involved with house events and yeah, all that rubbish, which is really important, and I did get a lot out of it, obviously, but I think maybe I would have rather been a bit more invisible. I did struggle a lot at school. I went to a school where girls are only allowed to wear skirts, and which is like, we're in 2020, grow up, everybody. And I am not the kind of person that walks around in a skirt. So that really, and it feels so stupid that a skirt can have such an impact on your head and your mind and how you go through your day, and how it even affects me now talking about it. It's ridiculous. It's a bit of cloth, but it really affected me, and it really was like really hard every day for 5 years going in a skirt that I felt like a bit of an idiot wearing, and I didn't feel like I was doing the right thing and whatever. And then on top of that, I think there was about 3 kids three of my peers, not necessarily in the same year, there was one in the same year, who started to one maybe started to transition female to male whilst I was at school, and then two others started after we'd left school. And knowing that for 5 years they also wore a skirt and probably had stronger feelings than I did about not liking it, it's so wrong. And it hurt quite a lot. And I tried to get trousers for the school, and I did end up having the last year and a half, I think, in the ugliest trousers you've ever seen in your life. But they were still trousers, so I'm not complaining. But in order to be able to wear trousers, you had to have a medical note.
Yeah, I remember those as well in school.
That you have a special condition that means you have to wear trousers. And I was just lucky because I had supportive parents, and my mum made up a note that said, like, yes, Emma's life is at risk if she doesn't get to wear trousers. Bollocks. It's like, what are you talking about? I just want to wear trousers. Let me live. And I think that definitely affected my confidence. I think, for example, like I might have taken drama, you know, if I'd have been able to wear trousers. But I was never going to stand on a stage or do any acting or whatever wearing a skirt. And even stuff like that, like sports, like, oh my God, we wore these gym knickers. Gym knickers are awful. They're horrible. Imagine like, and then you got like this piece of like fabric that you wrap around and it buttons up like a skirt, but it rides up and it's like your bum's out. I don't want to walk around with my bum out. You're joking. And then you want me to play sport in a skirt? No, thank you. Who does that? No. So I think school really pissed me off.
Yeah, I think we cannot choose how things affect us, even if we feel now that was so simple. It was just a skirt. And I think it was not simple. It was very complex because it has to do with gender, it has to do with identity, it has to do with expression, it has to do with a critique to the system as well, the educational system, that is going to make me be a better student if I wear a skirt instead of wearing shorts. The idea of what a girl should do, what a guy should do. Also, you're in a school that is only for girls as well.
It was for boys and girls.
It was boys and girls? Okay. Mm-hmm. So you had the difference. And in my school, it was the same. In my school, when I was in the high school, girls would use skirts, guys would use pants. And I remember feeling very uncomfortable about that. And you sometimes need to reveal the system, but it's very hard because, like you mentioned, sometimes you need to have an official paper saying this. And it can make such a difference just because you feel more comfortable with your own body. And when you're a teenager, that's very important. It can make such a difference just to change from skirt to trousers or to shorts. Yeah.
You're a teenager, your body's changing, you're getting used to yourself, you're starting to learn about yourself. Like,
yeah, you don't have to make it more uncomfortable than it already is.
But the thing that hurt the most was the fact that out of everyone, I was all right because I had parents that were supportive and stood my corner and were like, yeah, she should be allowed to wear trousers. It's ridiculous. Why shouldn't she be allowed? But the other kids didn't have parents that were willing to go in and be like, yeah, I support my kid. They shouldn't have to wear this. That's the bit that hurts because that kid is on their own. And that's why I guess that's why I'm vocal about it and try and change it.
And I think education is very important in that point because some families come from different cultures or different ideas, and then they go to a school, but they have the same standards, like girls wear skirts. So it's very hard for them to understand why this is so important to the girl that they are living with in the same family. And there is one question, it's also about school, but I mean, it's not about school specifically, but it has to do with identity and about the industry. And if you feel that it's different or maybe harder to be in the music industry, being part of the LGBT plus community yourself, I don't know if you have felt that now or maybe during high school.
I think it's better, personally. I think it's better that I'm female and LGBTQ plus, ABCDFG, whatever you want to say. Probably missed one out and I've offended someone. Um, because I think LGBT community is like hardcore. Like when they support someone, they're like, pew, 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 pew. We're with you forever. So I think that's pretty special to be a part of something like that. Um, it's hard, again, it's hard to know because I'm not a bloke that is straight. So I don't know what the difference will be. But I feel like I've been really lucky. I don't think I've been disadvantaged. I feel like I've been supported really well and not looked down on anything like that. Oh, apart from when you like turn up to a gig and you're tour managing or something and you're like, hi, can I have like the passes please? And they're like, yeah, send the tour manager over. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Hello. But everyone's really nice. I've never had anyone be like treat me differently because I'm female.
Yeah, I think it's very nice to hear that because it gives you back like hope in humanity sometimes, because we hear so many stories about people being attacked or judged just because of how they dress or how, like, who do they love, if they are girls, boys, if they are younger, older. And I think to hear that in the music industry, that from afar at least, it seems like very harsh sometimes, that you haven't had that bad experience, like just because your gender or being part of the LGTB community.
Yeah, I've been so lucky, and I don't forget that because a lot of people have a lot of hard times and go through a lot of rubbish.
Yeah.
But again, same with every industry. I'm not different. Music isn't different from everything else. But the only way it's different is if you were going to like assault someone, you'd do it in a soundproof room. And we spend a lot of time in soundproof rooms.
I think that's not something minor. That's true.
Yeah, that's probably the only, I think the problem isn't only in music. If there's a problem, which there is obviously, there'll always be problems, I think. It's as a whole
Yeah.
thing, not just music.
Yeah. Also, Rad, I saw that you had a question. I don't know if you want to unmute yourself and maybe ask Emma directly or.
Yeah, sure. So we were talking about like inspiration and what you write your songs about. So like I think quarantine has been like a major life event for all of us, you'd say. So do you see your like the content of your songs changing in the future, like being impacted by what's happening now?
I think so. I think uh, it's more me observing other people rather than
Yeah.
like writing about friends and their situations rather than me, or my relationships with other people. Yeah, I've definitely been writing stuff about um, people staying in places or houses or relationships that they shouldn't be in.
Yeah.
Um, I guess it's quite an easy topic to write about. Sad songs are always easier to write. They just come out easier. But yeah, I've definitely been writing about that and kind of trying to understand why people stay.
It sounds like
Mhm.
a different type of lockdown. You're locked down in a relationship.
Yeah. Well, it kind of brings to light, I think well, it was apparent at first, wasn't it? It was like in the news, people divorcing because they realised that they didn't actually like their partner because they never spent
So much time together.
and
Yeah.
now they're both off work and stuck in the house, and it like and you realise, wow, I don't know this person, like what am I doing here, and kind of
Yeah.
I think that changed a lot of people, and I think that was probably the hardest part for a lot of people that weren't directly affected by the virus, um, or are being directly affected. Um, it's so hard to know when to let go of something that you're part of. Like, when do you even something simple, like if you start a uni course or whatever, I don't know what I'm talking about because I didn't go to uni because I didn't get that far. Imagine getting through your first year and being like, I hate every part of this. Do you let go or do you carry on because you've put a year of your life into it? It's so hard. Like, do you stay with the person that you've been with for like 6 years, or do you go, you know what, we don't like each other anymore, let's move on? Like, what, like, how do you make those decisions? They seem like such huge decisions, and it's like I find that stuff so kind of scary, and I'm glad it's not me, basically.
It is a very hard decision, and I think when you're talking about the students, a lot of students may be hearing you now, or that they will hear this talk in the future. Maybe they're asking the same questions, like, I don't actually like this that much. Maybe it's the course, maybe it's my classmates, maybe it's being away from my home in a different country. But should I stay? Is this because I'm weak? And I think that's one of the questions, like, should I just hold on, and maybe it's because I'm weak, instead of thinking maybe something here doesn't fit with me and I need to decide, with help with my parents or family or friends or even professors or tutors, do I feel that this is going to change? Maybe it's because I'm adapting, or maybe it's because actually I shouldn't be here, maybe in this course, or maybe now I need to take a break. And especially that question now has been brought up so much because of the lockdown. Like, a lot of people are thinking, maybe I should wait a year to see what's happened. But again, everything is very uncertain. And I think it's uncertain in all the fields that you mentioned. If you have a partner, you're having a bad relationship for years, you always have the idea of what will happen tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow things are going to be better. And that sometimes traps you because you have the hope and the uncertainty at the same time. But I think one of the most famous quotes, I don't know if it's from Einstein or not, but it's like, if you don't do anything different, you will have the same result. So I think that's the only thing that maybe we can experiment. If I don't like the situation I am, and this has gone on for years or maybe months, and if I don't do anything different, tomorrow is going to be the same. Do I want to keep having the same? Or should I take a little risk to see if something changes, if I do this movement, just to see for myself if it's any improvement happening, or maybe I should just step back, because it's very hard to take that decision if you don't have that contrast. You
Yeah,
very easily get stuck in routine for years.
it's scary. Change is really scary. um and maybe that was the part maybe that was the part of the reason why I didn't carry on with my education, because it was too overwhelming. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to learn music because I looked at all the courses and I was like, meh, no. But like, my hobbies of like teaching, and I love woodworking. I'm such a gay. I love carpentry. Um, like, I really wish I'd done like a site carpentry course, because I find that stuff so interesting. Like, I love construction. I just find it so cool.
Maybe you can construct your own guitar one day.
I have. Look, I'll show you.
Oh, perfect.
Oh no, my other guitar's going to fall over. This is my bass guitar that I made.
Wow. So you have some skills for that.
It's mahogany back, middle, and neck. It's got an ebony fretboard,
That is super impressive.
maple top, and obviously I didn't put frets on it because that's too technical. But it's really
It's
cool.
really nice. Yeah.
The wood looks really pretty. It's very nice.
It looks amazing. Did you do that yourself only?
I did it. I was very lucky that I had really good workshops at school, and I used to just spend all my time in the workshop, and I made it at school in the workshop.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That looks amazing. People are saying that it's a lovely guitar. Well, bass, I think.
Yeah.
I don't play it, which is really sad. It's more of a bit of furniture.
Well, maybe someone in the future will enjoy it. There is one question following up what you were mentioning, only if you want to share it. How the lockdown has affected your own relationships?
Me,
Yes.
I haven't seen my band a lot, but we talk. And a lot of my friends, a lot of the people that I keep around me are the kind of people where you don't have to talk every day, and you just meet up and it's exactly the same as it was. And that's kind of like how it is with the few people that I kept in touch with at school, um, and my band and stuff like that. I talk to my manager every day, and kind of that's stayed normal. I think it's been hard on the rest of the family being stuck at home together. I know they struggled a lot at first with the kids being off school and homeschooling. But then the older one went back to school because he's in reception. So we got rid of him for a little bit quite soon. So that was quite nice. And the baby is perfect. He never cries and he's just quiet. So that's great.
Likes to turn the lights on and off.
I know. Nightmare. They know not to come in my room. Good. But I think the baby's going to be a musician, because anytime any music comes on, he'll start dancing, and he's got very good rhythm. He just bobs up and down in time. It's really good.
Maybe you will have a drummer for you as well.
I know. I hope so.
So what kind of instruments do you play? You mentioned guitar?
Guitar mainly. Piano, drums. Got drum kit. This is my very, don't judge me, very messy room. I've got my drums and piano and a plant. Whoop. And that's about it. And my very comfortable chair. This is where I spend 90% of my time. And a computer over there that I record everything on. So I'm pretty set up. I can do everything I need to do. I'm super lucky. Yeah.
So I imagine you have been recording things for yourself, like without your band in this.
Yeah. A lot of recording I do quite remotely anyway. Kind of the process of writing songs is I'll write the song and then I'll decide what I want the song to be. I'll record a rough demo, put some ideas in there, and then I'll decide kind of the producer that I want to have record it, and then they can kind of do a lot of that stuff without me, to be honest, because they take my ideas and develop them. And if they need me to record anything like a part or some vocals, I can do it all at home and send it over. So to be honest, it's been fine. Yeah.
One of the questions is also if now that you're in the house with your family, is this a process you do by yourself, or maybe you have a little baby coming in? I don't know, who are you living with right now?
I'm living with my dad, his girlfriend, and her kid and their kid.
Perfect. So for example, do you have any time where you are with them when you're playing music, or is more something that you do for yourself?
I really wish that the older one would sit and learn something with me, but I don't think he ever will, because it's definitely that thing of like, you don't want to learn anything from people that you live with. Like if your parent is trying to share their wisdom, it's like, nah, shut up, you don't know anything. So I think it's going to be like that. I'd like to think that I will end up being the like cool older sibling, but I don't think I will be. I think they might be embarrassed of me, but we'll have to wait and see. I'll let you know in 10 years.
I think the baby likes to dance to your music.
Exactly, yeah, that's true.
I was wondering, you had any collaborations that you have made or that you want to make in the future with any, if you could choose any artist in the world, do you have anyone in your mind that you would like to collaborate with?
That reminded me of a question that I didn't answer yesterday on an interview. And I just realised that I sent it off and I hadn't answered that question.
It's tricky how the mind works.
I was thinking, and I didn't write it down on this interview, but I was thinking like of Brandy Carlisle, because she I obviously don't know her life, and I don't know what her life is like, and I don't know what anything is. So I'm just looking from an outsider at Instagram and all that jazz. So I could be making this all up, and it might all be rubbish. But from an outsider's view, it looks like she's got a really cute family, and she lives with her wife and their 2 kids, and her 2 bandmates, who are twins, like live super close with their kids, and they hang out all the time, and they just seems like they're so full of like love and pure happiness and acceptance, and they're all there for each other. That's what I want. I want to get to that point where I'm surrounded by people who I love and who love me, and we all just are there for each other, and our whole aim in life is just to make wicked music, and we all just enjoy the process. And I think I've like figured that out as I've grown up and realized that it's not all about music, it's more about the people and who you do it with, and who you surround yourself with. Without the people around you, your life is boring. You have nothing if you haven't got people to share it with.
That sounds like an amazing dream.
I know, right?
Yeah, I want that. Maybe not in music because I'm not that talented, but just to have that group of people that you know that you can come back to.
Yeah. And it's really hard to like then have parents that had like so many years together and then split when they're old, and like they're like 50, like 50, and then everything falls apart, and it's like, wow, like that can happen to anyone. Like that's why it's so important to look after your mind, and look after the people around you, because you really don't know what's going on in other people's minds, even if you're living with them. Like
it's very important. And communication in that sense.
Communication is really important. Yeah, and my family especially was a family that never used to talk. We never used to talk about feelings. It was always very like awkward. Whereas now I'm kind of like, I'll talk about anything. Yeah, I'll talk about anything. You can ask me anything. And I think like now I'll always ask my dad how he's doing, and but in a sincere way, like tell me how you're feeling. And
as he replied,
especially with talking to other people outside your family, I think like stuff like therapy and counselling stuff is really important. I feel like people should do it even if they think they don't need to. It's really healthy, and I think it's quite, I guess it's hard because I know, for example, like I know some people that have kind of needed it and not been able to afford it, and that's really hard to know. I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but talking is really important. That's what I'm saying.
I cannot disagree with you. I do feel it's very important in the mental health part, but also as a form of life. Like, even if you don't want to speak to everyone, because it's not necessary that you from tomorrow tell everyone in the world how you feel, but maybe there's some people that are around you, and maybe you can have a deeper connection with them if you just share a little bit more, because they are going to see more of you, who you are, and not only their assumptions, because we do make assumptions about people. And
of course.
And only if like King students are listening, if you ever feel that you need to talk to someone, for the residences, we have the word for leads. You can also talk to us, the community facilitators, but there's also counseling, free counseling in uni. Just as anybody's thinking, yeah, I need help, but I don't know how to get it. And sometimes the help is just to talk to someone. You don't need to go there and say, I have this specific problem. Sometimes it's just company. One of the other questions has to do with the collaboration thing that we were talking about. And they mentioned Lucy Spragan. I don't know if that's...
I know who this person is that's asking this question.
I knew you would get it because it's very specific now. So who's Lucy Spragan? I don't know who that person is.
Lucy Spragan's really good. She's English singer-songwriter, writes really wicked music, really good. You should check her out if you don't know who she is. But it's like, yeah, it's good music. I supported her on tour last year. I think it was last year. And her fans are wicked. Her fans are the kind of fans everyone wants. Super supportive. And yes, I would love to write a song with Lucy Spraggan. I think she's a bit too cool for me, if I'm honest. She's quite inspiring, actually. She's started doing loads of fitness stuff recently, which I wish I could do that, but I'm so lazy. I'm really lucky I've got a fast metabolism because I eat so much food. It's ridiculous, but I just sit on my bum all day. I'm really lucky. That'll all change one day and I'll just like, it'll all go. But
it happens, especially during lockdown, at least for me.
That's all right. It's fine with me.
I wanted to ask you one last question before maybe we can ask you to play something for us.
Oh, yeah.
So one of the questions was in the back, and probably is from this person that you know who this person is, but since the first time that you studied songwriting, do you feel that your work has grown now that you are also getting like more experience and you're not 11 anymore? How do you sense that your work reflects your own growth process?
Definitely, you can definitely see subject change as I go through different stages of life and learn new stuff and approach different things differently. And as with any skill, the more you do it, the better you get. It's a case if you're writing music, you want to write as much music as you can, and hopefully. Although actually, do I believe in that? I just said it, but I don't actually think I believe it. I don't write as much music as I can. I just write when I like. If I start an idea, I know some. I feel like there's two different types of writers. I know some writers that will start an idea, and even if they think it's a bit average, they'll finish it. Whereas I don't tend to put effort into an idea unless I think it's like something's there. Like, oh, this is gonna be good. I kind of like to focus my energy. But yeah, I think it's inevitable that your style of writing or way of life, anything changes as you grow up because you become a different person and you grow into yourself and stuff like that.
You want to show us something?
Oh, yes.
I think people are very excited about it. One of the other questions is about if any of your chords, like the music, it's out there so people can actually learn some of your songs.
Oh yeah, I'm actually writing a little chord book. I've just been asked if I'm wanted for dinner, and I'm just replying saying yes, I am still on the call, but I would love some dinner. Sorry.
No worries.
What was the
question was, where can people find your music, your chords?
I'm writing a little chord book. Hopefully I'll finish it this year and well, when I say publish, I mean print it and you can buy it. That will have all the chords in it. There might be some online somewhere, I don't know. But if you just Google my name, stuff comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you play, I think you have some sounds on the computer on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn that off. Do you?
Oh, from WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Yes, you can go into the little window and put disactivate sound.
Wait, settings, notifications. Off.
You learn something new every day.
I should have known that because I've done a lot of teaching on Zoom and always my laptop's like bing, bing, bing. I'll turn it off for an hour. Awesome. Thank you. What kind of song do you want? Do you want something chill or upbeat or
What do people want?
whatever I want? Oh God.
You can have one and one if you want.
I'll do Love You Better because yeah, I don't know why. 'Cause I can. I haven't played it in ages, so sorry if I go wrong. Tell me now, would you go if you were told there was someone else? Wake me up when you decide, but in the meantime, keep in mind I can love you better in the long run. I can love you better in the long run. Oh, I can love you better in the long run. I can love you better. I'll be fine either way. I won't use my heart to make you stay. Call on me when you decide, but in the meantime, keep in mind I can love you better in the long run. I can love you better in the long run. Oh, I can love you better in the long run. I can love you better. I can love you better. I can love you better. I can love you better in the long run. Don't hide from your heart for too long. Keep me in your mind while I'm gone. I can love you. Have I ever let you down? Tell me if I let you down. Say it again. Why won't you say it again? And maybe I've been holding on, maybe just a little long, and I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. Oh, why? 'Cause I can love you better in the long run. I can love you better in the long run. Oh, I can love you better in the long run. I can love you better. I can love you better in the long run. Don't hide from your heart for too long. Keep me in your mind while I'm gone. I can love you better. I can love you better. There you go.
Amazing.
That was incredible.
Thanks.
I was like singing, like trying to learn the words when you were like singing it again. I was like moving like this.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, music's on Spotify and stuff like that. You can just Google.
Love you better. That's one of
Yeah.
Emma's songs. I don't know. Like this is a phrase that we usually say in Chile. It's no hay primera sin segunda. Means there's no first without the second. So we do need a second song.
No.
Yes, we do need a second song. And people are saying it's beautiful. Also have like some hearts here on Instagram as well. So if you want to share one song with us, we will be excited about
Want
it.
more? Do you want? God. Do you want an upbeat one, or do you want a like a?
So we had a chill one. Maybe we can have an upbeat one. But this anonymous spectator says Lifeline.
No.
No. No. I'm sorry.
Pretty anonymous person that I think might be called Becky. I don't know. I think it might be you.
You're revealing the identity. Yeah, but we had a chill one. So if you want to do one more upbeat one.
All right, I'll do one called Butterfly. It's got nothing to do with butterflies. I wrote it about something that happened at school. It was a part boarding school, and there was a new kid that didn't speak like any English, and she kind of like latched onto our group that I kind of wasn't part of, but followed round for some reason. And then they were like, she can't sit with us at the lunch table, and I'm like, come on guys, don't be like, seriously, don't be a dick. So it's about that. Is that, yeah.
Do you know that this girl knows that this song is about that? Did you ever talk to? No?
No idea. Sorry, I got a message. I spent a lot of time on the outside. Maybe I'm the one to blame, but in my mind, in the game of life, what it feels like, 'cause you're messing up the pieces and it's not right. You seem a little blind to the issue in hand that you're trying to hide from the overbearing truth that you're unkind. I would try and sympathize, but it wouldn't feel right. So whatever she's done, it doesn't matter to me. I see where she's coming from. Time after time, I've been watching people walking out of your life. But me, I'm nice, so I ain't ever gotten walking out of your life. Somehow I feel inclined to apologise for your behaviour, and I'm not quite sure why. You got yourself criticising like some kind of ritual, and it's bringing me down, down, down. And if I'm gonna pick sides, I think I'll stay outside. So whatever she's done, it doesn't matter to me. I see where she's coming from. Time after time, I've been watching people walking out of your life. For me, I'm nice, so I ain't ever gotten walking out of your life. Your half-hearted kindness only guides us off the way. You're blinded, tell me off the record. Give me a piece of your mind, I'll see it from your side. It's where I'm standing, it's really not cool. It's so cruel. Whoa, time after time, I've been watching people walking out of your life. For me, I'm nice, so I ain't ever gotten walking out of your life. Time after time, I've been watching people walking out of your life. For me, I'm kind, so I ain't ever gotten walking out of your life. I realised I had to sing quietly because there's children in bed.
Yeah, we're past the time for sleep.
Yeah.
We really love both of the songs, and the second, clap, clap, clap. I love your voice. People here sending hearts as well. So I think you had more followers now. At least I think it goes very smoothly, and it's always nice to hear an artist that can play their own music with just an acoustic guitar, with nothing else like prepared. I know that you play with a band, but it's also very nice to hear you like solo in that sense. And also the story behind the song, I think, is something that is very common, but it's very lovely that it's made into a song, because sometimes we know it exists, but nobody speaks about that. And if we don't speak about things, it's like they're not there.
I think the beauty of songs is that you can interpret them any way you want. Just because that's my story behind that song doesn't mean that you can't fit your own story into that song. Kind of, that's what's special about music, I think. Yeah. Thanks.
It's no emojis, but I want to say it was very, very nice to hear you. Beautiful song, beautiful voice.
Very much.
And I think one of the questions that was in the beginning, I left it till now. It was, if you have any advice maybe for students that are coming, if we think about 18, maybe 19, and they want to start to learn more about music. So we're not talking about kids now, we're talking about teenagers or young adults. How would you advise for them to start this journey? Because I can tell you from my experience, I have always loved guitar, but I'm very bad at it. So during lockdown, I said, okay, I will try. One of the residents from the building, he left, but he left his guitar behind, and he said that I could take it. So I was like, okay, this is my moment. And I started to have lessons with a friend, and the first like 5 days, like 5 times, I was so frustrated. Like, how can you move this hand and this hand, and it hurts and it doesn't sound the same? And I imagine when you're starting to learn instruments when you're older, and you can have that frustration more than when you're, I don't know, 5. So what would be your advice for students that are maybe coming this year for the first time to uni, or maybe second year?
Message me and I'll give you some lessons. Start really simple. Like, God, that's hard. That's a hard question. Even don't be afraid of doing stuff wrong. At the end of the day, it's music. Just because I might think it sounds bad doesn't mean that someone else might think it sounds bad. Unless it really does sound bad. And if it does really sound bad, then just keep going, because it will sound better eventually. Advice, YouTube. YouTube's amazing. But yeah, find a teacher that inspires you, and that makes you excited about stuff. And find out what excites you about music. Because until you know what excites you about music and why you want to learn it and what makes you passionate about it, if you are passionate about it, then I think you aren't necessarily going to know how to approach your learning, and what songs you want to learn. Like, you want to learn something that you know really well. Like, if you hear a song on the radio and like, wow, that's a good song, like, I want to learn how to play that song. Just focus on that one song, and then once you've learnt one song, you'll be surprised how many other songs are exactly the same. It's pop music. It's all the same.
You remember the first song that you learned, like, completely?
I think it was Yellow Submarine by the Beatles, or Let It Be, or something like that. It was definitely a Beatles book. In fact, this was my first music book. It was my first music book. Beatles songbook.
Do you have any favorites from the Beatles? Lots of them.
I like Hey Jude. I don't know. God. I'm not good at on-the-spot questions like that.
No worries. And psychologists sometimes tend to ask lots of questions as well. I was wondering if you had any questions also, Rada, that you were thinking now. Maybe you want to have lessons with Emma now. You heard her play.
I started learning the ukulele during lockdown, and I will definitely be taking some tips back to my practices now. What would you say is the one thing, is like a lesson, or like just the one thing you learned during lockdown?
One thing I learned during lockdown. I've no idea. Maybe that I'm super chilled, and I'm probably a little bit too chilled, and that sometimes I should get off my bum and do something.
Valid earnings, yeah.
Yeah, and that people are important. But
yeah, definitely.
I thought that before, so yeah. What about you? What about you guys?
One thing I learned during lockdown?
Yeah. It's a hard question, right?
It is, yeah. No, I'm on the spot. Franny, what about you?
Ooh, she passed it on.
I will probably answer now, and then like 2 hours later I'll be like, oh, why didn't you say this?
Exactly.
I think I learned that I need people a lot. Like, I'm very used to do things on my own, but not having the option, like, it's not a decision, like, on doing it on my own, it's like I cannot. So that was one thing. But the other thing is that the feeling of like community, like I'm not doing this on my own, like I'm not self-isolating on my own. The whole work is in some point doing that. It made me feel very like supported in a way, to see that everyone on social media, because we usually tend to compare ourselves in social media, and seeing that in social media my friends were also doing like lockdown or everything, everyone's routine change. he was like, I do feel alone, but I'm not lonely because everyone is in the same boat.
Yeah. I feel like lockdown learnings have been so much about like people, because that's the one thing in common that everybody's missed, or that everybody's like learned something about. People are really important.
Yeah, I think I actually think about it. I think I spent a lot more time with my family. Like I spent a lot more time with my mum. Like I was
Yeah.
quite distant from my mum before, but I think I've been more conscious of like making sure she's all right, and kind of keeping her company and going to visit and helping out with random stuff and visiting other family members that I haven't seen for absolutely yonks. Yeah, so yeah, I suppose it has. Yeah, I think people. Yeah,
I think I have had like video calls with friends that I haven't spoken in years, and it's all
bring
great.
people closer, even though we're further away.
Yeah, and I think there's one of the like phrases was like being socially distanced, emotionally connected, because it doesn't mean you don't have to talk to anyone because you're like on quarantine. It's about the touching part, the wearing a mask, but that doesn't mean you are alone completely.
I quite like wearing a mask because when I've got loads of spots on my face, I just shove a mask on.
Yeah, and I also think like we were very incognito where nobody would recognize me a little bit. I would put like a mask, I will have goggles and I have gloves and a hat like the first months because it was very cold. And people in the supermarket usually knew who I was because I was the only one wearing all of those things. Yeah.
I definitely look like a bit of a thief sometimes because I'll have like my cap on and then my black mask, and I'll be like in Sainsbury's, like doing my shopping.
Yeah, it can happen. I don't know if you have any last ideas that you want to share with us, Emma. We really appreciate how open you were, and also Memo that had to leave sooner. But it is like a whole journey, and you took us in a whole journey. If I think of the tea talks that we had, I think we covered almost all the talks. Like we talk about gender, the LGBT community, body positivity, or the fact that a skirt can actually make you feel that you don't like how you feel in your own body. Also about keeping active during lockdown or being more lazy, and how your routine helps you, but at the same time you sometimes just want to leave that away. Of course, mental health, family diversity. Um, I think we haven't talked about sexual education as much, but we talk about sexuality and different orientations. I
Talk
think
about
the big
sex with
topic.
friends because that shit's funny. People should do it more. Like, I think girls are really good at it. I don't know about boys. Girls are really good at it. But yeah, talking's great. Fucking love it. It's great. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think the only topic that we didn't cover was climate change. If you want to have anything added to that.
That's important, that stuff. And I don't think that I probably don't do enough. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, if that helps.
Yeah.
Cows do a lot of pops. But yeah, no, overall, I'd say it's okay if you're not okay. And if you're not okay, find someone to talk to, and don't be put off by feeling down if you're feeling down at the moment, because that's completely fine. Yeah.
And you can always get inspiration to write a song about that, or make a drawing, or just dance along when
Sit
one
and
action.
think and don't do anything.
Yeah,
Just be with yourself.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned in the beginning, this is my last tea talk, and the one that's going to be continuing this amazing. I do love them because, like you mentioned, Emma, talking is something so amazing, and talking to someone that maybe is not in your closer circle, and you get to know them more, and you get to experience a little bit of how life has been for them. And I have been speaking to so many people. It has been amazing. Some people I knew from before, some people are completely new, different countries, different cultures, different religions, sexual orientations, and everything. Again, thank you for being part of that. And I wanted to introduce these other people. We are going to have new community facilitators. From the first term, there are going to be 5. And I think the one taking the lead on the tea talks, maybe the other ones could join sometimes, it's Rada. So I wanted you, Rada, to say a little bit about yourself and to give you like
Yes.
transferred
I'm taking it over. Thank you. So hi, my name is Radha. I go by Rad because that's much easier to pronounce. Yeah, I am going to be one of your 5 digital community facilitators. I am a second year student of linguistics and I am going to be staying at GDSA. And Franny has already covered so much in her talks over the past 3 months, and I'm just so happy to be taking that forward. It's going to be so hard to like look for topics because you've done so much. But yeah, I'm just like really looking forward to talking with all of you.
And we really want to explore, and maybe some of the topics can be the same, but the people are always going to make the conversation different as well. Like,
Yeah.
just think about artists. There's plenty different ways of seeing that.
Yeah, but it's like maybe taking a different angle of things, like making them more specific, whatever like the students want to talk about. We're here to talk about it.
So thank you again for everyone that has been in this talk in particular. Thank you, Emma, for sharing with us your music as well and your stories. Also, thank you, Rada, for keeping the Tea Talks alive. I do feel very proud that they are going to continue alive, and maybe in one of them we are actually going to have tea, but in the last talk, Ellie had tea. That was one. And I'm very happy to have been a community facilitator. I think taking everything into account, my experience in London has been 80% being in the RESILIFE team, more than my master's, because everything that happened, of course, I had like a big pause in that. And when I was in lockdown, self-isolated, away from my home, fearing what's going to happen in Chile and in the world, I think the RESILIFE team and being part of that made me feel very good, made me feel useful, made me feel like I could connect to people and I could help maybe students who are still like self-isolating or being afraid. And it was a very big part of me. So if you ever need help, I will be here to help. And yeah, I just wanted to invite all of you to the 2 events that we have. We have Funky Fridays, starting at 7:30, and then we have John with his last kitchen hacks on Sunday at 7. And we wish you everything positive to everyone and for the new students coming.
Thank you so much for having me.